And we are live.
It's showtime.
It's showtime. We are not Randy Zimmerman.
Right. But I am still Daphne Lage. So you got half the half the team today.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So good morning, everybody. It's a little too early for this shit as always. But welcome to a very special edition of Sunday Funnies. Randy is on a very well-earned vacation. We're hoping that he's having fun wherever he is, and we're taking over the show today, me and Nita. So yes, we're doing a gremlin takeover. So
awesomeness.
So what's today? Today is definitely Sunday.
It is Sunday, June 5th, 2022. And
there we go.
I'm gonna throw this intro, and we'll come back and try not to fuck it up. Right?
Right. There we go. That's all we can do.
All right.
Hit it.
Welcome. I am Cara Nicole, and this is Fire Bitch 3. Thanks for checking out the campaign. We have a fantastic Fire Bitch book with all the bonus swag you know and love. Action, drama, excitement. Our badass babe fights an intergalactic war with a world in the balance. You will love the art and the story. We have some explosive variant covers by us, as well as some smoking guest artists, red hot add-ons, special tiers, and sparkling stretch goals. And the cosplay! Woo! Get excited! You're not gonna want to miss this fiery campaign we lovingly put together just for you.
Really shit.
Well, I mean, look, if especially Cara's promo didn't wake you up, I don't know what won't. what will.
She excites you every time, right?
I mean, it's like she's that hit of caffeine, right at the beginning of a Sunday morning. So there you have it. So welcome everybody to this takeover, this RAGIN takeover edition of Sunday Funnies. Like I said, Randy's on vacation. He will be back next week, I think. I mean, there's a lot happening next week, so I'm not sure about that, but right now, let's worry about the now, So Randy's on vacation. Me and Nita are taking over, and we have some wonderful guests to bring on today. So, but before we do that, let's give a shout out to everybody who's up this early in the morning in the chat. Welcome everybody. Who's in the chat today, Nita?
All right, we got Mike Jimmy.
Hello.
We got Rich Parada.
Oh, hello there.
Hello, Rich. Jody McPhee.
Hey, Joe. The European
and
guys
stalkers who aren't talking.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yes, it's like look at that. I'm seeing 4 viewers. It's like come on over here. Introduce yourself to the chat. It's like announce yourself. Join the discussion. So so hello everybody. My name is Daphne Lage, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the funny animal fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which is currently on pre-launch on Kickstarter. All the links are in the show notes below, so you can sign up and get notified when the campaign for this beautiful trade paperback goes goes live on June 13th, which is coming up really fast, by the way. I am also known for my medieval fantasy soap opera Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. And that's going to be coming up to Kickstarter as well soon, because I can't function unless I'm running a Kickstarter. I completely understand what JD talks about when he starts getting that itch between campaigns. So I am also co-host with the lovely Nita Lanning on the RAGIN 2 The Vlogs show every Monday and Friday on the RAGIN 2 network, where you might be seeing this, or you probably are seeing this. And in the meantime, you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, and egoworks.com, EGOWRKS, where you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the RAGIN 2 network. And yes, and if you are joining us from regions beyond, if you are joining us from Facebook, if you are joining us from Twitter, or for wherever else you may see this link, come on over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, join our sexy people in the chat. Sunday morning, they're up early for you, except for the European guys. They're having brunch right now. So, but come join us. Come join us here on YouTube and have fun with the rest of us. We're going to have a good time today, even though we might be a little bit, I don't know, maybe a little rowdier than usual. Hey, it's all well and good. So, Nita, tell the people who you are.
My name is Nita Lanning. I am the Mouth of the South. I am a writer, vlogger, blogger from Southeast Louisiana, and I am the CEO and executive producer of the RAGIN 2 Broadcast Network.
There we go. Oh, and yes, hello, Marvi, who is just joining us.
And Russ Leach.
And Russ, very nice. You see, it's like you got the Euro crowd
Thanks
all coming in. But it's like, look, Sunday mornings, come on. I know it's early. So yeah, Nita, we have a really interesting show today. We have some guests. So I think this is actually probably their first time on Sunday Funnies.
But I don't know. Do you want to start bringing them in?
Yeah. So let's bring our beautiful guests in. Come on in. We vacuumed. I dusted a bit. So Alison is here. Oh, look at everybody. Krista's here. Cara Nicole. Look at that. Look, with the lights on, trying to wake herself up because it's 6 a.m. when she ran down the street, told Krysta to get up. We have a stream, and then ran back. So let's start off with introduction. So Alison, start with you. Tell the peoples who you are.
Hi, I'm Alison. I'm here and sort of awake. I'm a comic book artist and video editor. Yes, Rich, I will be. Sorry, I'm tired right now.
Yeah, I know. It's rough. I don't know why Randy does this so early in the morning.
Yeah, so let's see, my main comic is A Girl in Her Shadow. I'm also working on another book called Hopscotch, which will be a horror comic coming in the near future. And I am Alley Cat of Alley Cat Comics.
Oh, that's cool. And you also co-host with Peter Palmiotti on his show as well. So
yes, when we were running it.
Right. Yeah. It's like there's no real schedule for that. It's just it goes up when it goes up.
Oh,
right?
there was at one point, but neither of us can hold it. So
there you go. That's where
I
happens.
will be streaming back on Twitch soon.
Oh,
and doing my art in real time. I have an intern to help me. So
very nice. Oh, nice.
I don't have to pay them; their college pays them. So better.
Oh wow! So it's like kind of like official. They get actual course credits for helping you.
They do.
Oh, very nice, very nice. As always, all the links that we mention here, all the books, all the campaigns will be in the show notes or in the chats or both. So. But definitely in the show notes.
They'll be in the show notes before we publish.
Right. So Krysta, in between sips of so what are we having today? What are we having?
We're having straight black coffee today.
Oh wow, straight. It's like look, yeah, I know it's early because you're in Arizona, right?
Yes. So here where Cara and I are at, it is 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
And grateful.
You
No,
know,
you're not.
yes,
I was
yeah,
like,
so
I
that's
don't
for
even
sure.
think I get up this early for work.
Right. Wow. And mind you, so why don't and mind you, especially the reality of what you do. So why don't you tell the people who you are?
Yeah, I'm Krysta Crawford. On social media, I'm known as Flirt of Villainy, and by trade, I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner, but by passion, I'm an artist. I'm the creator and artist behind the comic book series Wolf and I, which is live right now on Kickstarter.
Oh, very nice. And again, we will be talking about your campaigns later on in the show, so don't
Awesome.
worry. So we will be covering everything. And finally, the myth, the legend. Cara Nicole, saving her for last because I know she will definitely wake everybody up here. So, Cara, do you need an introduction?
I don't know. I don't know. If you don't know me by now in the comic book world, cosplay, Comic-Con, like if you don't know me, you probably do and don't know that you know me.
Oh, one of those, yeah.
I'm one of those. I'm one
Yeah.
of those that like you don't know. So
Right.
like, okay, random throw out here.
Right.
I ran for House of Representatives in 2016. I was hashtag the cosplayer candidate.
Wow.
Was destroyed by media networks worldwide and in many languages.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
I was actually the most qualified candidate, and still to date have done more good work through the legislature than anyone that beat me.
There you go.
That's not saying that.
I've had people do that. They're like, I don't know her. Oh, wait, from politics? But I also am the Amara Tandris magic card.
And your magic card too?
I'm two magic cards. I'm actually the Amara Tandris and the Amara Soul the Accord.
Wow.
So people don't know, but many people have probably seen me just checking out groceries at Walmart or Target or whatever because it was the package covering the girl in the green dress.
Really?
That was me. Even my own friends. Like Cara. That's because that is Cara. I've also been for you gamers, like tabletop gamers. I've been a model for the World of Dust, and I am in their instruction manual. I've been in Heavy Metal Magazine twice interviewed. I've been in Forbes multiple times. I have been, like I said, all over the world, online and in newspapers. I also have, for you comic book fans, my book Fire Bitch is on issue 3. So if you're a Kickstarter person, you might know me from Fire Bitch. You might know me from horror, from Unstable Frequencies. Mm-hmm. You might just know me from cosplay as that one girl with the thing right here. It's the window in the white suit, you know, the blonde girl. Yeah. So I actually, a convention in Mexico used me as their advertisement for like 3 years. I'm just kind of everywhere.
So you're kind of like the fandom equivalent of that guy in that thing, which is usually like in movies and TV, you know, where it's like, you know, I've seen the face before, don't know their name, but they're in everything.
Yeah.
You know? And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere along our timeline we actually crossed paths.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like that's probably I at this point I wouldn't be surprised to find out that we probably sat next to each other at like New York Comic-Con or something. You didn't know it.
But you know, it's weird because I'm going to throw this out there, just random knowledge here. Tell me this, Krysta, you too. You travel, you go someplace to a con, and they put you right next to the guy who lives down the street.
It's really funny. That happens all the time. Like, you know, when I've gone to Vegas Con, when I've gone to Albuquerque Con, I'm like, I'm going to meet new people and we're going to make friends. And then I'm like, hey, I know you.
Right? Exactly. Right. Yeah. You know, so here we are on this Sunday morning. Look at that! I almost called it Monday. What the heck is wrong with me?
Monday, which is really awesome.
Through this camera, I will take my day back, Daphne.
Yeah, I know, for real. I am not stealing anybody's Sundays away, except for this. But you know, hey. So here we are going to talk about. The theme of the show is the more lighthearted side of comics. but it's like, but comics really is so, in the end, really important to us, because that's what in the end brought us together and brings us here on this show. So for the panel, I guess it's like let's start off from like the very beginning. And it's like, so how early does your memories of comics go? And at what point did it's like you look at it and go, yeah, that's what I want to do? So Alison, why don't we start with you?
Let's see. I've pretty much always drawn. I was the weird kid who didn't play with toys, but I always drew and painted and everything. So I just didn't care about toys. So my twin took care of that all for me.
Oh,
so.
Okay. So at least you had someone to pick up the slack.
Yeah. So, but I loved like the Sunday Funnies, and the one that got me first was Garfield, because I liked the way the art looked in it, and I used to try to copy it. And then Calvin and Hobbes. I found comic books, and then I was what was it? I found comic books, and my mother hated the fact that I loved comic books, because I was reading superhero comics, and that wasn't very girl oriented. And what really ticked her off, I think, was an issue of G.I. Joe that actually is the thing that sold me on wanting to do comics, and that was issue 21, the silent issue.
Ooh.
And I absolutely loved it. Just the way it was drawn, the way it was carried, and the fact it had no words, just like sound effects and things. And from that point, I started trying to draw comic books. Surprisingly, I didn't really buy much more G.I. Joe after that. But that issue, the cover and everything, just blew my mind. And I like literally saw it on the rack, and I was just like, that looks cool. And my dad was just like, grab some comic books. We have a long ride, because we were going up to New Hampshire. My grandmother and my uncles and stuff, and it was like a 3-hour ride. So my dad was just like, hey, grab a bunch of comic books, it's fine, and go buy them, and they were cheap at the time. So I grabbed a pile of comic books, and that was one of them. Okay. And I read them all on the ride up, and my twin brother stole a few of them from me as we were doing. He read some too. So. But yep, I loved comic books, and that was the thing that really got me really thinking about it, was that issue.
Right. Well, you had said that you didn't. How is it that an issue really grabbed your imagination like that, but then you didn't continue that series afterwards?
Because it wasn't as good as that issue. So,
I
had a few issues after it, like the early Storm Shadow stuff, basically.
Right.
And like I bought a couple issues later on, and I have all 3 of the silent issues. All of those are amazing. But they weren't all that good, because a lot of them are just toy commercials. Oh,
well, it is. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is G.I. Joe. And mind you, it's like, I don't think that that's like a derision to it, because that's exactly what they were. Yeah. I mean, G.I. Joe was an action figure.
Yeah, exactly. So
right, yeah.
That, but when they made it more about the toy than they did like the story, it kind of, I just didn't have the interest. And also I found Spider-Man, and I really like Spider-Man. So
so at least, okay, so you moved on to so something else ended up getting your attention after that. It's not like you kind of like stopped and it's like, okay, now I'm just doing my own stuff.
Oh no, I collected comics for, well, I still do, but I don't really read anything mainstream that much anymore. So but I did when I was like 6. The other book that really sold me on it was, might have been that same trip. I'd have to check the date, but it was going up to New Hampshire. I went to this little comic book convention in New Hampshire. I think it was in Concord. I'd have to double check, but I met 2 guys there from Northampton named Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
Oh, there we go. the OG crack dealers.
And I got 2 copies of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1.
Wow. Do you
I
still have those?
them.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
I have all of the original run of Turtles. So.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. So if you ever needed to buy a new house.
Yeah, I could sell one of those and
right, yeah.
go for it.
There you go. So Krysta, so what's your earliest comic book memories and the book that brought you into this sordid business?
So my journey's kind of a strange, different direction than most people. I did have a few comics here and there, in your comic strips in your newspapers that your dad discarded on the table after he was done reading, all the politic pages and sports pages. But I mostly grew up reading like books, like novels. I'm a huge like reader of like your classics, like your Frankenstein, your Les Mis, all of those like hardcore books that you read growing up in school. But I've always loved to draw, so I've always like written my own little stories and then drawn like little illustrations into them. And it wasn't until I was going through college, I was in my adult years, and I've been writing all these stories, and I'm like, oh, I'm never getting anywhere with these. I want to publish them, but I keep changing things and doing different things, and it's just not coming out how I want it to. And as an adult, that's when, I had my own kid and I take her to the comic shop. And so that's when my love of comics just really bloomed, is having that bonding moment with my daughter. And so we got into more of like your Disney comics, and more of like your fantasy comics. And so that's kind of what brought my love of writing and drawing, and working with her and helping her read and getting into loving that kind of stuff, which brought me into the world of comics.
So was there a specific book that made you go, this is what I want to do, or what that kind of stood out for you?
It was a lot of the like Disney did a whole runs of like Disney Frozen, Disney Princess, Disney. And so they actually have whole series that go like side stories of the princesses and side stories of a lot of like the side characters in movies that, I grew up with in the 80s and 90s, and now are like actual comics that I was able to share. And so those were a lot of the ones that specifically inspired me.
Yeah. One that really stands out for me is like Colleen Doran had did an adaptation of Disney's Beauty and the Beast, the original, the 90s.
The 1991
that she did and then I remember like they did a mini series after that. Like I don't think she drew that, but there was a Beauty and the Beast mini series.
People kind of just and that's what a lot of these are. A lot of them are like, they did like the series of the movie as a comic, but then other people went through and they did like a side story of what happened during the spring, what happened during the winter, what happened to Mrs. Potts, afterwards, or like the adventures of Olaf, those kind of things.
So Cara, I mean, it's like, so how far back does your love of comics go, or was it something else that kind of, because you got so much going on that it's like, but tell us about your earliest comic memory and the comic that really did it for you.
Well, it goes back to actually when I was very, very young. My grandmother was always a newspaper reader. Now, her family immigrated here from Portugal. And my great-grandparents did not speak English, but obviously the kids did. And, many children in those communities where you had a bunch of immigrants, the children spoke multiple languages to speak to each other. And so my grandmother did, but they wanted to be American. It was very important to be American. And even though my great-grandparents did not read a word of English or speak a word of English, probably a few, they always had the newspaper delivered to their home. And my grandmother read the newspaper until the day she died. And that was something that I grew up with having that newspaper in your hands, taking it apart, the sections, you know, you've got this section and that section. And I read the whole damn thing because I will read anything in my presence.
Were you that kid that like would grab the encyclopedia to look up one thing, and before you knew it, you were halfway through the whole book?
Yeah, I was that person. I was that kid, and a lot of people don't see that in me. They say, "Oh, comics, cosplay." It's like, and then would they look at me like I just kicked their dog when they find out that like I go through people's communities and find out like what the average pay rate is for a job and how much stuff costs. They get real weird about that. Like, wait. That's not what you're supposed to do, you know. So my comics did start in the newspaper, and I'm very slice of life. I love that kind of stuff. I want to know what people think and how they would make it happen and what their dreams are, and that's where comic strips came from. Outside of Garfield and Odie and all the normal stuff, then you've got your political comics and that sort of thing as well. Daryl Skelton is a good friend of mine, and he draws a lot of those political comics. But he also did other things. So it started there. And then when I got a little older, it started getting into like Black Cat. She was like my home wrecker. I loved it. Red Sonja, powerful women that were kind of bitchy. Wait, what's our swear word? I already heard Nita.
Oh, no, we're fine. We're fine.
So,
you're fucking cool. You're fucking cool.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it was I had a, you know, and I hate to be that person. It's like whenever it's with comics, it's who's the boy. And whenever it's like veganism or vegetarianism, it's who's the girl.
Right. Oh.
Both of those. So yeah. And it was something that was new. And I was like, wait, I can get like the whole thing. Like I can get more and it's in color. This is great. I don't have to wait just for Sunday for it to be in color. So yeah, Black Cat, Red Sonja. And I liked old stuff too, like Ren and Stimpy. And I would go try to collect the set. And, you know,
I'm feeling old now. If Ren and Stimpy's old, and you said Red Sonja first.
Well, I because they were cheap. Because it was cheap. I mean, it was comics were not. I grew up kind of poor, kind of really poor. So your quarter boxes, your long boxes of just everything, and I would just dig and dig and dig and dig. I found a set. It was a female samurai, and her name was Samari.
Neil Adams. Neil Adams, classic continuity stuff. Yeah,
and I have the whole set, and it was only like 4 issues, but just those little things like that it would just catch my eye, and it's like, all right, now I found one, I got to find all of them. Flea markets, thrift stores.
Samari really stood out for me because it's like there was one issue with a cover. It's like her from the back, and you just see it's like her butt is almost glowing in the dark.
Are you talking about the painted one? Oh my god! Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. I'm thinking of. I need to look in my stuff because the one I'm thinking of, she was facing forward. She was in the silver suit. Oh, so sexy. Right. And just the painting job on it. It's almost. Yeah. It's almost like an oil painting, kind of toned down a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. No, that really stood out for me back then too. It's like, I collected a lot of those as well. But was there like one particular book that like really, or was that the book that did it, or it's like was there like one particular book that goes, you know what, I want to do this?
No. Because I didn't want to do this. I didn't know I wanted to do this.
Late bloomer.
I wanted to be an editor.
I
wanted to be an editor. And if you're willing to go down a tiny little sad sack rabbit hole here, I did not know. I didn't remember that I wanted to be a writer until years later. One of my friends, I'm still friends with the same people I was friends with in junior high and high school. So, and my one friend, you guys might know her, DJ. She was like, yeah, you wanted to be a writer. And I was like, I did? And I actually recalled a lot of my childhood memories from her. From digging through our stuff. Because we've known each other since friggin' birth. So, and I didn't remember that. Because I was not put into like the gifted and talented program. As smart as I was with all my straight A's and all this shit, I wasn't put into those programs. And my teacher said it was because I wasn't creative.
Wow, really? That's kind of. I always
Wait,
thought those
if
things
I hid
were
my creativity, I would have avoided all those problems.
right. Yeah, I know, right? It's
Only
like, wait a
you.
minute, because
Right.
I don't know. It's like I always thought those things were like grade, assessed. You know?
Apparently not. So, I
Yeah.
mean, just because I like to stay a little grounded with my creativity, like if I have a character that can fly, we need to know if this is a soft magic situation, a hard magic situation. I want a damn reason for it. You don't get to do stuff just because. And if you
No.
do, then you just don't know how it works yet, but it does work. I just have to make all the mechanical pieces fit.
Oh, very nice.
Obviously,
Very
they don't
nice.
really work, but
You're a gamer, aren't you?
no, I'm not. I'm not a gamer. So
Wow.
yeah, there wasn't really any one thing. I put out my first book in so in 2011, I had just started cosplaying. It was just kind of like a thing, like going to cons and all that. As a cosplayer, having your own booth was not a thing. But I was one of the first people like, oh, artists are getting booths and selling their prints. I'll do that. Okay. And I would just do that. And this guy says to me, so when do you want to get together and talk about your comic book ideas? And I'm thinking, wow, you're a super douche. And
Like, oh, you're a little too friendly right out the gate.
he's now one of my nearest and dearest friends. I love this man to death, and we put out a comic book together.
Oh, there you go. So there you go.
I was
at
at his wedding. My husband and I were at his wedding, and we keep in touch. And we put out an ash can called Nixed, and I had a cosplay cover, obviously, and we wrote this little ash can. And going back, I was like, what the hell was I thinking? But we're actually re-releasing this in full color as a real book, not just an ash can, but it was just a fun little project we did. And then I started getting hired on to do other projects. I got brought on to do a Women in Comics project through Jesse James Comics with Bianca Thompson, who we just put out a sketch card set based on my cosplay together. So everything all kind of came around full circle. And yeah, it just kind of, it started out with someone kind of douching on me. And then Alfred Trujillo hired me to do some writing for him. And it just kind of snowballed.
Wow. I mean, I have to admit, though, I was almost a little worried about that story, but well done. Well done.
Worried of.
Well, you never know.
People come up to me at cons.
Yeah.
You never know what's inside you that you might have forgotten.
Right. Yeah.
And you never know, like, what connections you meet are gonna like totally change the direction, the trajectory of where you're going too.
Right. Yeah.
I don't draw, but one of my high school friends who is like engaged to one of my other high school friends, he was like, I don't really remember you. I just remember you were the one that drew.
Oh,
I don't draw. When I try to draw, it's like a toddler. I'm terrible at drawing. But apparently I used to draw.
Wow. So it's like, so that's why you're surrounded by so many people, because it's like, you're so busy. I just forget days of the week.
Be reminded who she is.
Right? Sometimes you got to be reminded who the fuck you are.
No, for real. So Nita, what were your earliest, I guess, in comic book memories and the book that did it for you?
Okay, so for me, it was later because I was into fantasy novels like sword and sorcery stuff, the Dark Elf trilogy, and the King Arthur books and stuff like that. So anyway, but in a dark, depressed phase, MTV Oddities came out, and I was introduced to the Max, and I found out that was a comic book, and that's where it began with the Max, because Julie Winters is still to this day the epitome of everything I ever wanted to be. I wanted to be beautiful. I wanted to be smart. I wanted to be funny, daring, and still human. She still had her weaknesses. She's just the most realest female ever. And that was it. And the Max led to other books like Rat Queens and so on and so forth. And there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like every time you talk about the Max, I lament losing the I had the Max glow in the dark cover, And I don't know where that went. I mean, I don't know if we lost it in a flood. I don't know if our mouse plague, got it. I don't remember. I just know that I do not have it anymore. And I really do. I don't even look up prices for that book anymore. It's like, I'm like, I'm just going to have to, just do that for it. I mean, for me, myself, it's like simultaneously, I was a late bloomer when it came to comics, but I always remember comics being a part of my childhood. Someone had past Master Dan. You had mentioned how many people on the panel are Portuguese. Well, you can add one more. Eu sou brasileiro. So
38 dress novels? Oh dear God.
So I was born in Spain, kind of like partially raised in Brazil, and there's like a huge, like kind of like comic book culture in these two countries. And I always remember being surrounded by comic books because everybody read comics, but I guess nobody really thought about them that way. Like it's like I remember, it's like, reading like Mortadelo and Filemon in Spain and Turma da Mônica in Brazil. But these were like, I don't know, they were always there. But it wasn't until I was in the United States, and me being the little immigrant, I was in the United States and I discovered Rocket Raccoon, I think it was issue 2, in a supermarket. And that was the book that showed me it's like there was more to this.
An early Mike Mignola.
Yes, really. I mean, which it kind of surprised me later on to realize that, considering what his style looks like now.
Yeah,
And
that's going to be Arthur Adams.
Yeah. So. And around the same time, because because we were a weird little family, and our idea of an outing was going to like a local Barnes and Noble at the mall and just hanging out there. So we would just go through all the shelves, and I found the first trade paperback to ElfQuest in there. I mean, we're talking about the king. If Eastman and Laird were the OG crack dealers, right? The Peonies were up there too. It's like it kind of like it was kind of like if you were a guy, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you were a girl, it was ElfQuest that did it. Kind of like that separation.
I'm gonna say they feel attacked.
Right. Well, it's like not at all. It's like I'm speaking very generally. So, but the funny thing is, like, I remember like going to the store. We would go week after week to the store, and I would just go there and stare at this book and just flip through it. Like, it never occurred to me to buy it. I guess it was my age at the time. It's like kids don't really have money.
Yes.
That is an issue.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But eventually there was at one point where it's like, I guess I finally convinced my parents to buy the book because I was like zeroing in on it every time. And then that just like led on to like me like realizing that comics could be something more than there's just like either gag comics or like strips for children, like comic little comic things for children. Like, this was more than that. The story was so much more epic, and that kind of bled into me collecting like the Marvel versions of ElfQuest, because again, it's like I don't think I found my first. I went into a comic book store until I went to high school, which was the High School of Art and Design, because at the time Forbidden Planet was 2 blocks away, and that was the first time I had ever been in a comic book specific store, and it blew my mind because it was just at the cusp of the black and white boom. So it was like being a starving person and walking into a buffet. It it was just mind blowing. And for and as you can see, I haven't looked back since. Well, actually, I kind of have looked back, but that was more like to make sure I clean off my shoes, with all the bodies that are riddled on this weird road that we're on. But so who's okay. I know I had to laugh because William Shaner, I read your name is William Shatner, and I froze. But
don't get too excited.
Exactly. Welcome. Yeah. It's like it's funny to think that William Shatner watches early morning podcasts about comics.
I mean, what else is he supposed to do while he's drinking his coffee?
Really, exactly.
He's great. I love Bill. We talk all the time. We've done a lot of time together.
Oh, there you go.
In the Facebook clink. So we bonded over ramen and roly-poly cigarettes. But he's like, I feel like he's like our big brother. Like, this is the guy that's going to stand up for you. This is the guy that's going to, watch your back. And you never know he's there, but he's always there. Like,
that's cool.
He's all of our fan. He just supports all of us so much. And those people are who make us what we are. Like, yeah, we all want to be creators and we all can be creators, but like, we need people to back us up and, help us get out there. And that's, we appreciate that.
Right. So, so now let's bring it to modern day, where it's like we all find ourselves being comic creators and creating comics, as opposed to just, I guess, searching out other people's books for our entertainment. Although we still do that too. So, and speaking of that, what does your collecting comics still continue to this day? And it's like, and what makes up like what is it that you still look for? So Alison, it's like, so what's in your collection now?
Let's see, my collection these days is a lot of my older books that I just enjoyed. I collect usually for artists more than anything else. Like the most recent comic I bought is I have the new Death Dealer comic because I love Frank Frazetta, and I figured, well, I'll get the new book that just came out for that, and I also got a few of the blanks so I can draw on the sketch covers. But I'm poor, so I don't buy a lot of comics. I backed was it Lauren's Path of the Pale Rider. I did back that. I backed my friend Nate's Punk Girl Ninja and a couple other things. But for the most part, I have to be very cautious with my money because being disabled means I don't have a lot of money. I do intend to back Mr. Cryptid by my friend Peter Simiti. So I want to get that from Alterna.
Right. I mean, it is kind of ironic that we seem to have had a little bit more cash flow for comics when we were children with no jobs than we do now.
I used to have a ton of cash, but things happened.
Right? Yeah. That's.
I had a very well-paying job when I worked for one of the biggest telecommunication companies in the world. But I don't work there anymore. So.
Right. Yeah, but and also it's like it's just kind of it's like the way that comic books, because obviously from your list it sounds like you get most of your books now from crowdfunders instead of comic book shops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I buy sketch covers is the big thing I get from comic book stores. I literally have my crack dealer who drops off my my monthly comics. I just order sketch covers unless it's something I specifically want. It's generally just sketch covers.
Right. So you still do work, I guess, like order through your local shop, like.
Yeah, I've literally been ordering through this guy since I was like 17.
Wow. Okay, so that's a relationship. that really is. He really is your dealer.
Yeah, he's a really good friend. So
Right.
he's known me since I was a teenager. So
right.
Can't really argue with that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he used to have a store and everything, but then the guy who owned the property died and his kids sold the place right
Oh,
after. He was
that
gonna buy the whole place, but didn't.
right. Uh-huh.
So now he like deals out of his garage or something.
Right.
So,
Okay. I mean, that's kind of the story of a lot of places. The kids come in and go, what is this?
what was it? He surprisingly is because of the whole thing where the people sold the place, though, is he's still able to do all this because he's he wasn't destroyed by COVID.
Oh wow.
Because he just did deliveries for people.
Oh, yeah. So he knew how to pivot really quickly. Very good.
So he literally delivered my comics during COVID.
Oh, interesting.
Still does.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He lives up the street for me too. So
that's convenient.
I'm lazy.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's like we have a comic book shop like a couple of blocks away, and I'm like, oh, outside? You mean go out there?
You don't have to go out into the world. I don't understand this.
Yeah. So Krysta, what are you collecting now?
Oh man. So I've been collecting a lot. I have been on a Kickstarter, Indiegogo crave, especially as I'm looking for myself and I'm looking for my kid. We still hit up the local comic shops and we get our monthly updates of the Frozen comic and some of these other ones that we've been following as they've come out. But my big ones on Kickstarters, it's been a little bit of everything. I've been looking for indie young adult comics and teen comics. And then I've also, of course, been backing Friends Comics to see, what's up in their world and how things have been going. Two of the big ones that I have really been excited about, one that I got in the mail was The Wayfarer.
The Wayfarer?
Oh, I think I was looking at that.
The Wayfarer, yes, by Dutch. It's a smaller indie comic that came out a couple last fall and then shipped early spring. That one and then the Sapphire Spectre are the two that I've been reading recently that are more indie.
Right. So Cara, what's in your what's in your box? Like the commercial, what's in your wallet?
Friends Kickstarters, okay? There are certain ones that I have read that I got because I wanted to there was one that I found it. He's not in our group, you know what I mean? I've never seen him on a show, and it was Zombie Cage Fight. And it was so good. It was well done and it was beautiful. The art was fantastic, and it's about a guy who is a washed up fighter who's a single father trying to take care of his kid, and there's some big money in an illegal ring of cage fighting. And I'm a cage fighting fan. I'm a cage fighting fan way back from when Oleg Toktarov got his cornea popped out. Back when there were no rules, except for no biting, no fish hooking, no eye gouging. That's it. No weight classes, no nothing. I've seen a 150-pound dude take down a sumo wrestler in less than 90 seconds. Yeah. Back in those days that we don't allowed to do now. That's kind of what this was. But now you've got zombies. And it was so well done. And I just found this by accident. I'm like, I love this guy. So anything that really just catches my eye, or anything really bad.
Oh,
yeah, that look, Nita. We'll be all reading stuff together. Me and Nita will be reading okay, this is horrible, and I'm not naming names, but we'll just go through and read it.
Yeah, so, Daphne never lets me name names.
No, I don't. We want to be polite. Yeah. And also, taste is subjective.
Yeah.
So
white people. Subjective, but this is not a taste situation.
No, this is not a taste. This is a grammar situation.
Well, some people's taste is all in their mouth.
Well, yeah,
Back to the editor in me. I love picking things apart. How does this come together? Did you show a gun in the first act that you now didn't use? What's going on here? What is the point of this story? give me a character that I either hate or love. I have to have feelings about a character. And if I don't have those feelings, you didn't hit it.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to be the main character. Sometimes your main characters, your flat out characters, it's just like do, and everything's going on around them. You don't give a shit about that person, but you really care about this guy over here.
Yeah.
So it's about all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that whole I don't know, it's like that whole gun on the table, Chekhov's gun.
That's
you know,
right.
I mean, it's because I'm writing a novel now, and I'm at that part where the gun is slowly getting taken off the mantle, and I'm like, yes. Yeah, I mean, and this the I think the strangest criticism that I have heard. Someone had given their book, their comic to somebody to read it over. It's like, oh, tell me what you think. And the guy who was reading the book says, oh, I don't like it because you're trying to make me feel things with your story.
And that's kind of the whole point, you moron.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it was just like I had to stop and go, wait, what? You know, it's like, yeah, it's like the guy kind of resented the fact that it wasn't just the two guys beating each other up for like 21 pages or what have you.
Yes, there weren't capes and tights.
You know, but you see, that's the thing. It was a cape and tight.
Oh, really?
But the thing is, though, is that, you know, there was an emotional resonance to the story that the guy resented was there. It's like, no, I just want to see people beat each other up. You know, it's like, okay, then, you know, go subscribe to a UFC channel then. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, it was, that was like the strangest thing that I've heard. So yeah, so of course, like I really appreciate that whole thing that yes, you have to feel something in a story, you know. So Nita, what's in your collection lately?
Lately, same shit as always. I like fantasy and I like the dark and I like porn. So so let's see, like, yeah, you get it. Ego Raven, of course,
not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Tall Tales, of course.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. I know, God, this is such a simp fest over here. Let me think. I'm enjoying Sandman, and I am still trying to collect a few of the comics from the Max. That's both a cover and a read issue. I'm trying to get all the IDW and Image covers, especially the Image covers. Yeah. But I'm mostly writing right now.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like, I mean, the cost of comics. Well, I recently lost a lot of books to a flooding issue, in my office. So I'm slowly replacing those. But most of them, actually, at this point, not all of them, pretty much. They're all crowdfunders. Like I said, I don't usually go to my local comic book shop because which technically I haven't done in decades, really, because they never really, they most of the time they never have what I might be interested in. It kind of frustrates me that comic book shops are not set up like bookstores, but I mean, I know that that's kind of like a space issue or whatnot, because I kind of hate the fact that I have to go into a comic book store and dig, as opposed to like, well, I'm into fantasy comics. Where are those? You know, it's like, you know, oh, I'm feeling like something, like need something a little darker today. Where's that section? You know, it's like, no, you kind of have to go through everything and figure it out. And for some reason, I find it easier to do that on Kickstarter and on crowdfunding, as just crowdfunding in general. And that's where most of my books are. But also, you know, I'm spending a lot more money for these books too. It's not, and because of that, I also have to be very picky as to which books I buy. Like, so right now, shout out to Russ if he's still in the chat. Only Death Can Save Us is definitely a must-have on in my collection. I did pick up, I'm still waiting for Arya to ship his Tailless
Jealous.
I'm waiting for that. I just picked, I picked up Wonder Duck. The Adventures of Beauty, although it was JD that supported that campaign. We kind of take turns supporting campaigns for books, because we have to kind of like
Spread the love.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's mostly a lot of Kickstarter books. And also it's like if I really do go out of my way to collect something, it's mostly older books. And it's a combination of artistic nostalgia. And it's because like I went on an eBay craze for the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons comics.
Oh, I used to read those.
Yeah, I think it's a Deserma, Jan Deserma, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So her run on that, I still don't have everything, but I have like at least like the first 20 issues, which I remember vividly. Though I think those were printed by DC. I like collecting any of the collected Conans, the old ones, the one that were printed on newsprint. I like collecting those. Any of the Conan books that I could find. I've really been on a John Buscema and Frank Thorne kick lately. So, So you see, Alison, I completely understand when you're talking about girls collecting boys comics.
I am so sick of that whole like thing. It's getting really old. I think we're all just sick to death of it.
Right.
And it's so crazy to have this whole idea of boy stuff, girl stuff. Why is everything so gender based? So I'm gonna take this real quick off.
Okay.
What was it? Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
It was so long, but okay, we got a panel of women here.
Yeah.
This movie, it was like a Shaolin Soccer or a what's that other one that's really
Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu
Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah.
The main character is a woman. She's a woman who has been beaten down by life, who's busting her ass every day, who's doing these things. Those women, we do not get representation, and she did. And let me tell you, there was literally one person who had purchased a ticket for this movie before we got there. And then 2 minutes before the movie start, 20 people rolled in. And it was a very small theater because it's a little old. So it was like, this theater's the size of my living room. And I was so impressed because I feel like society doesn't want to accept a story like that because nobody wants a story about a woman who doesn't look like a 20-year-old, like sexy woman. They want, they don't want to look at the mom like that.
Right.
And this story gave that woman a voice, and it was incredible, and it had the usual stuff. But there was a point in there where she kept referring to her daughter's friend as he. And it was a girl. And the girl's like, it's a she. And she's like, he, she. We don't have all these words in Chinese.
Huh.
I had no idea. Now in Spanish, everything is gendered.
The chair, the doorknob, the bird cage.
But in China, they don't differentiate by gender like that.
Yeah.
And can we please stop that? And this is not a gay thing. This is not a trans thing. This is not a whatever. This is a people thing.
Right.
And I'm sick to death of the worrying about what everyone has in their crotch.
Right.
In my book, it even says, do your people even have crotches?
Right.
Does your labia turn pages, Cara?
Can we just be people? Can we not be people?
Yeah,
no. That's for later.
Yeah, you see, right. You know what? It's like, you can't complain about what's in someone else's pants when you're telling me that this has a male or female, a prefix. Yeah. Is the water bottle male or female? In your language.
You know what, though? No, Daphne, you made a good point, though. That water bottle, that is who we are all are. Okay, Krysta, you know science stuff. You're a science person. How much of water are we versus gender? like if you were to make like a percentage here, how much percentage of us are water versus how much percentage of us are gender?
I'm more of a physics person in this, but I believe it's 75%. So
Yeah.
I'm partial to gravy myself. I made a gravy.
I mean, it's like
leftover
60, it's like 60 to 70%. It depends on your what part of your body you're talking about. I mean, your brain's more like 75, where your bones are more 20%. If you want to get real specific.
This is why I tell everybody to moisturize after every show.
Hydrate.
Hydrate.
Exactly.
You know.
Oh, yeah. But I forgot my train of thought. Yeah. So yes. Yeah, and that's the ironic thing too with your book, especially Cara, is that superficially people write it off as, oh, that's a guy's comic, but you're the one that writes it.
Well, Alfred and I do it together. And we do it kind of like dueling pianos. If you've ever been to a dueling piano, and that's what we do. We both go on our drive, and I'll write something, and he'll write something, and then I'll erase something, and he'll write something else, and I'll erase, and he'll erase. And
so it's very heavily collaborative.
Very, very much.
Right.
And a lot of it is like, really, I should just post our security cam footage.
Oh no,
you guys can see like.
No, we don't. We probably we shouldn't do that. It's not that type of channel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't want to have to testify in court.
No. Because we do a lot of like talking things over in our kitchen. Right. We have security cameras everywhere and it catches everything. So you can see our conversations getting very heated. No, but what about this and what about that? And we just kind of go through, and then we'll do some outlining and some talking and kind of go back and forth. So yeah, we do a lot of that, and he's actually better about women. Now this is interesting. So any of you ladies out there, knock off your shit. Okay. Grow a vagina. Ooh. Stop being so weird. Women love talking to Alfred about it. He knows women. He's very good with women. And I'm over here like, what up? Like,
right.
Like,
well, because I see that, but that kind of makes sense because let's talk about the creative aspect of what we do. So it's like it's like, so at what point did you actually so to the panel, at what point did you decide, okay, I'm going all in? It's like we talked about our past comics. We talk about what's in our box now, that this is what we're collecting now. At what point did you decide, okay, I'm going all in on this? And what kind of informs your creative journey, in it? So Alison, you want to, and you're working right now on something, right?
Yeah, I am. Right now I'm working on, I'm inking right now, but
yeah. So why not? It's like, you know what? I'll pop up what's on your desk right now, and you can tell us, and you can answer that question in the meantime. So here, right?
Back it out for a sec.
So bye, Marv.
All right. So basically, what got me to go all in is the fact that I couldn't work my day job anymore. I spent like a month in the hospital and then about a year trying to figure myself out through trying to work and constantly screwing up at that point because my brain would freeze when it shouldn't. Right. So I said, well, I can't do this anymore. So I basically went out on disability and now I'm disabled. And I just said, well, I can still draw. And one of the things that my doctor had said when I was in rehab was keep drawing because it will keep the neural connections in my brain fire.
Oh.
So because it's so hard for people to do. I then reached out to someone who I consider a very good friend and asked him for some help. And my friend Rob Dunas of Sketchcraft looked at my art, evaluated it, tore it apart, and then rebuilt me. And I spent
stronger, better.
So I spent close to a year just redoing all the basics and going back to basics, basically, and I'm saying that word a lot now. And
They're
doing
important. Yeah.
art again. So, and now I've become a lot better over the past few years doing it, and I owe a lot to him. I speak very, very highly of him. I used to edit some videos for him too as a repayment. So, but yeah, it was that was kind of the thing that kind of informed me. And the book I'm working on right now, when I'm hoping this makes somebody feel something, given what it's inspired by. So this is literally taken from my life in some ways.
Right.
This is something that happened, inspired by an event that happened when I was 14. So when the girl I sat next to in school was murdered by her next door neighbor.
Ooh, intense.
So I am kind of building on that, and it's about abducted and missing children. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And I'm starting the first issue off like a Bond thing, where it's the end of a mission.
Right.
So the character's fighting a slasher character that I've been drawing for years called Baghead the Butcher. That's where he has a paper bag over his head.
Is that one of those grade school characters that just morphed into something real later on, or you just let it be funny?
Kind of. I've sketched him a bunch of times throughout my life, and one of the first comics I ever did featured him, and it was a spoof on the TV show Ghost Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'd watched that show, and I have a solid background in, I went to school for astrophysics.
Oh.
And also for computer science. I double majored, and I was dumb for doing that. But I don't remember much of the undergraduate years. But yeah, so I was working on just a little like 4 to 6 page comic, and I spoofed Ghost Hunters because I'm just like, oh, they heard a noise, they did this. Well, what if they went to a house and they encountered something and they got killed by it? And that's when I drew Baghead the Butcher for the first time. And I've also added 2 others. There's the baker and the candlestick maker.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
They get far more disturbing as I go along. It's the baker. Well, they definitely cook things.
Right. Well, yes.
So I've always had like this horror aspect to a lot of my stuff, and I like slasher movies because they're stupid. So
well, we get our inspirations from where I guess wherever the muse calls us. I guess.
So yeah, I did that.
Right.
Yeah,
I have a weird question though. Considering I guess your as they joke online, your villain origin story started.
Yeah.
So at what point did you decided that this was kind of, because your process kind of, you were prescribed by a doctor to draw.
Yeah, basically.
And at what point did you realize, I actually really enjoy this, and not like, well, I have to keep doing this because my doctor said it was a benefit to me?
Oh, I drew since I was little, so I've always loved it. I would draw on the margins of all my papers in school. I'd draw on the back of things. You take the standardized test, they'd give you the piece of paper to do your math stuff on. Since I could do all the math in my head, I just had I drew on the paper afterwards.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was a crazy person at one point. I could do like calculus in my head.
Oh,
I can't anymore, but I used to be able to do that. So, I wanted to be like an astronomer / astrophysicist, and the more I found out that the deeper you get into it, the less you look at the stars.
Oh, well, and that's kind of a risk that we take too. I hear a lot of stories about artists or what, mostly at animation studios, I guess, because of the intensity of the work that they do, that it's like they spend all day animating and then they come home and that they never pick up a pencil.
Well,
You
just
know.
a perspective mistake I have to fix, but I'll do that with the ink.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, fix it later.
Um,
It's like what Dave Sim says. It's like just move along. Fix it later. Worry about it later.
Yeah, well, I mean, my rough pencils I don't care as much about, so it's
Right.
like I'm inking over it right now, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, there's a perspective error.
Right.
That's
Right.
nothing big to fix, though.
Okay, that's cool.
Um,
So Krysta, so what's your villain origin story? How did you decide to get into when did you go all in?
Ooh, so I went all in at the end of 2019. I had been writing Wolf and I for 15 years as a novel, as I previously had mentioned. And it was one of those, like, you're your worst critic as an artist or as a writer. And so I'd go back and I'd be like, oh, I don't like the way that this sounds. Let's change this chapter. And, oh, let's change the direction this is going in. And let's rewrite, where this is heading. And so it was like every year I'd pick it up and I'd write a little bit. Then I'd get mad at it and I'd throw it in the corner and be like, I'm never going to do this. Let's do something else instead. And then in 2019, I was finishing up my last of my college years. And I was like, you know what? I'm graduating in 2020. This is all pre-COVID. And I was like, I have this, I've been doing comic shows, selling like fan art, doing variant covers, those kind of things for a few years. And I was like, why don't I take this story that I have, that I love, these characters have been living in my head for 15 years, and make them reality, combine my art with my story and put it into comic form, something that, at that time, that was like a weekly thing my daughter and I would do, is go to the comic shop. And so I was like, well, this makes me, forces me to put it out and stop being my worst critic. And so that's kind of where Wolf and I started, and it's all just snowballed from there.
And when did and now here's okay. So you started writing prose, your story as a prose
I did.
Novel.
It was.
And what made you decide I need to do this as a comic, as opposed to just continuing as a prose novel, putting out a prose novel instead?
I think it was the fact that I just never committed to publishing it. Like every time I'd pick it up to edit it, to be like, okay, let's get this prose printed, I'd be like, no, let's change this. I was never like satisfied with where it was. And then I'd go back and I'd change earlier chapters because they didn't make sense with what I was writing in the later chapters then, because I was constantly changing things. Right. And I was like, this is never going to get published if I don't start. It's just going to be a continuous cycle of, critiquing myself and constantly changing it until I have like 30 different variations of Wolf and I. It's going to become a choose your own adventure book at this point. And so, yeah, it was my like commitment to telling myself that, I'm worthy of the art and writing that I do. And I just have to start somewhere. And this was a way to be like, okay, if I put out one chapter, it's out there. And if people like it, then that tells me, it's good enough to continue and put out issue 2. And people like that, then it tells me it's good enough that I can put out issue 3 and put out issue 4. And then who knows, maybe the whole book will end up becoming, 20 issues. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, might as well put it out as prose now, because clearly I have something here.
Right. Well, what is it? Is it the act of printing it? What's keeping you from ending up in that same cycle again in comics? Because that's something that I see a lot. People who never get past their first issue because they keep redoing it. It's like they're doing their first issue 5 times as opposed to putting out 5 issues.
So this will be issue 4 of Wolf and I. So it was one of those that I did think about that once I put the first issue out. There's a lot of things that have improved and grown. And thankfully, thanks to Cara and some other creators that are really close to me that have given me a lot of positive feedback and, ways to improve and ways to change. Because it's totally different going from prose writing to comic writing.
Yeah.
And, I almost got stuck in that situation, but thankfully, due to the encouragement of the community that's being built up for Wolf and I and some, near and dear friends, I was able to push past that.
Right.
On that, actually, I would like to. So, Krysta, very interesting, and I want to make sure that you don't sabotage yourself with it. You said
I'm always sabotaging myself.
I think we all do that.
Then you'll be. The thing is, prose readers are different than comic book.
They are.
And there are
Oh,
books
that's
out there
something
that
true.
will kill it in prose and do dog shit as comics. And there
Yeah.
are books that do great as comics and terrible as prose. So please, 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 please do not tell yourself that if Wolf and I does not do whatever, that it's not worthy of prose. I've always said go prose first, and then you can break it up into comics later. I understand why you're doing comics first, because you're trying to lock in those storylines. Absolutely. But damn it, I swear to God, I know where you
I know we've had this conversation many times.
you're not gonna do a prose book or whatever because the comic didn't do. I will come over and I will choke you.
I mean,
I know exactly where you are in your house, and you know I'll do it.
She,
I know that
serious.
work is gonna be.
Have you thought about a restraining order?
I know Cara only comes over for the coffee and baked goods.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you see, that's
I'm
the
like,
thing.
what
Yeah.
happened to that today?
Yeah.
Right, well,
No,
it
because
sounds
I
like we have another, something about Pam going on. So
I mean, because I'm going through this right now, not with Cara coming over my house, but the whole thing about because right now I'm writing a prose novel to continue my comic book series. So I'm doing my initial 15 issues as comics, but the stories afterwards are just I started to do them as novels because they're so dense. I didn't want to spend the next several years putting out one more story arc when I could just write one novel. And the difference, I mean, from so I just find it funny that it's you went from prose to comics, and I'm kind of comics to prose. and the thing is, though, there are benefits to each format. And there's a lot to take advantage of in each format, because my whole thing with the prose is that I'm able to put in so much more detail I could never put in a comic, because it would bloat up the story, and it would be 40 issues instead of just the 15.
Well, and that
tell
was
the
the
main
struggle
thing.
going from prose to comics is I'm like, how do I tell this scene in 1 or 2 pages without putting a giant paragraph that is describing what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say, we need to start getting together when we're working on these things and kind of brainstorm and be like, hey, how can I describe this, or what do you think of that? We can really talk off of each other and work with each other. And
I've always wanted to do a virtual bullpen,
a brain mind map.
No, it's very helpful. I started this. Meredith actually introduced me to that concept, and I still continue it with Nita. And it is honestly, I became addicted to that process. Where it's being able to sound like Nita is currently, we sound off on the prose that I'm currently writing. And it's well, how's this? How's that? And she tells me, okay, what if you do this, do that? Oh, this is missing. It's it's you haven't clarified this yet, and we kind of go back and forth with that, and it's so I highly recommend this type. You get in a StreamYard, it doesn't have to be public. You just you go to record only. You invite your friends.
It's best if it isn't.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. And you just and you just work, and it's it's kind of like being in office without leaving your house, which to me is always a benefit. Oh, but Cara,
as long as it's not at 6 a.m.
Well, that's true too. That's true too. But Cara,
not
just
6 a.m.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
all for that. Not 9 a.m. either.
Yeah, exactly. But Cara, one of your comments I wanted to mention before we get to your origin villain story, is that Prince at Paisley Park did the same thing. Every room except the bathroom was had cameras, and I think they had microphones in them, so that if he came up with an idea in the kitchen, he could be there recording it, without having to run to his studio to do it. It's just where everything
I hadn't
was.
thought about that actually. So and I was just kind of talking shit, but it's true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have mini Paisley Park in your house, right?
So you're the one who's recording yourself all the time, and you didn't think about recording yourself all the time.
Well,
We have security cameras because of other reasons, like where we live and stuff. So
Oh,
Oh
well,
no,
yeah,
I'm just having fun with
I
it.
never thought about it because I'll
Right.
turn something on and I'll do like the voice to text, and then we'll look at it later and like, what is this crap?
Right. Yeah. It's like, what was I
Because
saying?
it doesn't, it's like,
Right.
Pick that up the right way. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, trust me, I get the idea of wanting to have like security cameras around because of where you live and things. I
Yeah.
lived in a place alone as well,
Hmm.
a girl.
As that
And-
goes.
Had some interesting neighbors. I
Mhm.
made sure there was a weapon within arm's reach.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's there's certain realities that can't be erased
Right.
by
Well,
you
and
know.
we want to make sure, like when we travel, that everything's being taken care of.
Yeah,
Our
of
animals
course.
are being fed.
Yeah, right.
Those kinds of things, being able to keep an eye on anything. And our cat actually got into a bag of hamburger buns in the middle of the night.
Oh,
And we didn't notice. And I was like, I went to pick him up and put him away. I'm like, what is this? Why is everything falling all over the place? These are little teeth marks. And then I went and looked at the footage and like she's in there like eating the burger buns in the middle of the night.
well,
And it's
yeah,
funny because she's the burger cat.
right. Well, the thing is, though, it's like you're in Arizona. You wanted to make sure that something wasn't in the house that wasn't supposed to be. So yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Well,
So,
Krista
Cara-
and I live in an area where we get javelinas, we get
Right.
Coyotes.
Right,
They'll
yeah.
jump your fence and steal your animals. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
drug dealers.
Well, unfortunately, the coyotes don't go after those.
Aliens.
Right. So Cara, what's your all-in story? And mind you, you're not only all in, you're like all in on the deep end. It's like you're in everything.
Yeah.
So what made you go all into comics specifically?
So, I was in cosplay. I was doing that. It was a fun thing. And, and then I told you about like my friend who was like, hey, let's talk about your comic book ideas. And it started there. And then, like I said, I got hired in on some things. So, but if you want to go all the way back into the all in, there's a few like points in my life. So one, my first con, I was at Phoenix Comic-Con and people were like wanting to know where they could find me online. And my first thought from being a bullied kid was always like, why? You just want to be mean to me. Like nobody wants to talk to me. And you know what? They did because they were all nerds just like me. And I started out in this small little cosplay group and we went from 4 members to 35 members. And then there was a whole bunch of drama with that. And when they kicked me out, everybody left and that group went down the toilet. Because, and I still was doing charity events and whatever. And then comics started coming up. I got hired. People were asking, are you going to be at San Diego? And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's expensive. It's, but I mean, I can drive there. It's not a big deal. And so I started looking for jobs and I got hired by Archie Comics.
Oh.
And then Marvel Comics was like, hey, will you ditch that job with Archie and work with us? And I was
And you were hired under what capacity?
So I was actually just booth work.
Oh, okay.
Giving out. Do you remember those Captain America iPhone cases?
Oh
I was
boy.
giving those out at San Diego Comic-Con in their costume. It was kind of ridiculous. And this was right as they were merging with Disney, and like nobody really knew, but I knew. And I literally stayed in a store window. Like I rented space in a store window to stay. And yeah, that's kind of how that started. And then it just kept snowballing. And I got involved in other events. I started working with Nightingale with Wayne Gardner. Jessica Terry was his cover model and his girl at the time. And she was starting to get big and go other places. And so I was kind of her understudy. And then I started doing some co-editing for that book. I started doing a little bit of coloring for that book. Where I just spoke to him the other day. Just so you know, Krista, he moved to Peoria. He's on our side.
Really?
He did.
I was like, because I worked with Wayne a little bit too there for a while.
If you're free
as a New Yorker, I'm more amazed that Peoria actually exists and is not a joke from Bugs Bunny.
Everywhere, Peoria, everywhere. There's a Peoria and a Glendale in every state.
I really feel like
left turn in Albuquerque.
But Fire Bitch kind of came about. So years ago, Alfred just draws on everything, right? And the story always changes depending on who says it. But he draws these things and he posts this picture and it was like an envelope, right, from the bank or something. And he posts this picture online on Facebook and says, she needs a name. And Mike DeBalfo, yes, the Mike DeBalfo, he says, fire bitch. And we're like, when you ever see me get this look, it's like I have an idea and it's bad and it's amazing. And I start coming up with this whole, and Alfred's looking at me like, what the, I got aliens and all this shit in there. And like, you know, and if you've read my book, you know that people are like, oh, you should do a live action. She's the only human being. No.
You'll bankrupt Netflix.
Animated though. It would make an incredible animated series. It really would. And so we start going off.
It'd be hilarious.
I don't even know how it happened. And he's like, all right, we're doing this. We're going to put this on Kickstarter. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And I had been putting out my projects on Indiegogo for a while because I was afraid that Kickstarter wouldn't accept cosplay or something. I don't know what it was. And I had we'd put out, 3 of my books, of my photo books. And they were doing really well. And then it just kind of snowballed and we just kind of did it. And it blew up. And we were very, very fortunate and very blessed because we got paid out like a week before COVID hit and everything shut down. So seriously, I thank her. She saved us. And it just kind of snowballed and we kept going. And then I put out Confessions of a Cosplay Diva, which did really well. Kept doing the calendars and that sort of thing. And I got brought on some other books. I worked with some different companies. I did some editing for different companies. And I got put on a lot of covers. So I'm like, I don't just do cosplay. My cosplay is right now predominantly people's books. Like I am a cosplay cover model. I do a lot of covers for Krysta knows because they print them all. And I worked with Delaney for Changeling. I've done Jim Noble's books. I've done Wendy Shaner's books. You know, I was the cover model for Cold War for the official Lady Death game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it just kind of snowballed from there. And
you were on Sapphire Spectre too, right?
I was on Sapphire Spectre. I was on Sapphire Spectre as well. You know, Krysta and I were talking about doing something for Wolf and I as well.
Yep. Especially for the next issue, because it'll be all female variant cover artists.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I think JD had given me the heads up. I haven't watched it yet, but you were on an interview with JD the other day, and
I was,
that you had mentioned. I know that we had mentioned on Instagram before, and I still hold on to that. It's like, you know, if when you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. And you know what? And it's like, not to be awkward, Cara. Same thing with you too. If you want a variant cover for me, you don't have to. It's like, but if you want one, I'm ready for you. I will definitely put the time aside for you.
Well, it was so funny because I got on with JD and we were talking and then he brought up Daphne. I was like, wait, like Daphne who? Like the same Daphne? And so that was great because we had a good conversation.
Daphne, that goes for you too. If you want to cover, you know, I did Dustin Brunel's, and actually Dustin was funny because Nita was a part of that one. They had, I want to say that they had like 2 weeks, and I was like, I kind of took it as a challenge. That's kind of my deal. Like, I am my own competition. Don't tell me I can't do something because damn it, I will come out full force.
Oh, she'll come out,
and I'll be a bitch about it. And with him, it was like, it wasn't really the costume as much as it was the mohawk.
Right. that was where it kind of got, it's like, oh, I don't know.
Well, no, that was my challenge.
Oh.
That was I can do this.
Oh, okay.
Very cool. It was about learning how to style a mohawk.
Right.
And I mean, I could have done a better job, but it was my first mohawk, and wigs are made to where they pull down this way. So to get it to come up was kind of rough. But like, I think I did it, and he did really well with it. And the same thing with Wendy. Wendy had about 2 weeks left in her campaign. And I made those wings from scratch. I was going to order them, but it was going to take the ones I really liked came from Russia, and they were very expensive. Well, actually they weren't, but the shipping.
Well, yeah.
The shipping is ridiculous.
So I looked and I examined it, and I was like, what did they do? And I figured it out. You know that foam that you put in between plates and stuff when you move? Yeah. That's what it is. And so I went and I bought like a bunch of it, and I just made these wings, and I put up a tutorial, and now I have a black set too. It was a lot of fun, and now I do a lot of Wendy's stuff as well. Like I'm like her Aislinn,
Right.
and so it's always pushing me.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, my biggest fear is myself. My biggest fear is other people are going to criticize me. It's not going to be good enough. I don't sell my costumes because I don't want anyone to see my shitty handiwork.
Yeah. We're our worst critics.
It looks
It
good
doesn't
on
matter if it's
camera.
our drawing
Right.
or our sewing. Like, we are our worst critics.
Yeah.
I mean, I
But
feel the same way
that's-
with my costumes too.
I think that's unfortunately something that we all suffer from, and then there does get to a point where it's like, you know what, there's always going to be people out there who's going to hate your stuff no matter what you do. So the only thing you could do is worry about how you can continue doing it in spite of them.
So
Yeah.
I want to share this story with you. This is
Okay.
this is the gravy story. Since you brought up
great.
gravy. This is the gravy story. And the gravy story is actually what kind of helped get me out of my own way. Now, I love gravy, just like you do. Now, as someone who does not eat certain things,
Yeah.
I need to have gravy that is harder to come by. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I started, for years, I did not get gravy unless I was like out somewhere. And it was okay, but it was never, and I was like, okay, I'm going to look it up online. This is me channeling my inner Krysta here, who just does everything in the world. I'm channeling my inner Krysta. Well, I'm going to look it up online, and I'm going to make some gravy, damn it, because I want gravy. So
This is how my everyday goes. What am I going to learn or do today? How do I do it? Let's look on YouTube.
I look it up, and I see this recipe. Now, some of you cook, and if you don't, that's fine. And they suggested taking flour and water and seasoning and whatever, and put it all in like a jar and mixing it up and dumping it in a pan. And I was mortified. No. You have to start with a roux, right?
Yep.
You gotta melt your butter.
Always start with a roux.
Put the flour raw. Krysta, they put the flour raw. Like, no. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait, they're putting this out there and it's getting credibility, but it's wrong.
But it's
right?
wrong.
It's
so
wrong. And I know that it's wrong. So you know what? Now I know I can make my own gravy. It's gonna be good. And you know what? It's okay, because if this crap that is wrong can go out there and be publicly acceptable, then I can give myself the opportunity to fuck it.
And you know what? Just replace the word gravy with comics, and that's pretty much all.
Replace it with anything. Replace it with anything you want. With sewing, with writing, with reading, with anything you want. Just go out there.
Kombucha. With kombucha.
Yeah, exactly.
If you need a Sylvie, I'll bring you one.
Right? I mean, there are people out there doing it worse than you are with more authority.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it is true. Sometimes I'll go on Kickstarter and I'm seeing these ones that are making, here we are, like waiting to fund, trying to fund, like pushing our campaigns. And I'm seeing some of these that are like hundreds of, percent more than their funding goal. And I'm looking at the comic. It's not even finished.
Right.
And like the artwork is like, the story's like, and the artwork's like, and I was like, where are all these people coming from? If they can do it, I can do it.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Krysta, we were on the Crimson Owl thing together, weren't we? With talking about the thing? Were we on that together? Trying to remember. It was like a few weeks ago. Fair.
Cara, one more question though for you. So with the thing is though, you have the ability also. It's like you have a lot of people who work for you running your little empire there. Running your empire.
I don't have a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, I do like everybody does.
I mean, you outsource pretty much what you can. I mean, that's what
I wish I could outsource more. And if anyone is actually good at anything, please hit me.
Right. There you go. So what made you decide that coloring was something you weren't really going to outsource, that you were going to tackle that yourself?
So we actually, Fire Bitch, I color. I colored one story in Unstable Frequencies because it was kind of my baby. And that was important to me to do that. I only have one colored cover on Fire Bitch, by the way, which I'm going to make a tier today. So I only have one colored piece on the cover of Fire Bitch. A lot of it came out of necessity. So Alfred had a colorist that he worked with, and they were supposed to do some trades, and he kind of got screwed on that. The guy's like, you know my rate, and it's like, you motherfucker, like seriously, we had a trade going on here, and you're gonna screw us like this, and it bankrupted me. Like it literally bankrupted me. Like legally, literally bankrupted me. Yeah, and
shit.
And it really pissed me off because it wasn't very good. And I said, well, who are we going to get to color? And he said, you are. And I was like, shit. And now he's doing more coloring and more getting into painterly style. And I get very frustrated with it. And I'm trying to learn more and I'm trying to do better, but I'm my harshest critic. And I find that I am better not coloring. I'm better doing other things.
Right.
I mean, I like my coloring. I enjoy it, but it's very time consuming. And when you have so much to do, then, you have to pick and choose. I do want to maintain coloring. So this issue of Fire Bitch, I am coloring. And then after that, we are going to be outsourcing for lines and colors. We do have an inker now on board. For Unstable Frequencies, we had 4 different interior artists and 4 different colorists, and one of them was me, but we did maintain an inker. We used a couple of letterers. It's just a matter of time.
It was just like flatting. Like, I mean, I can do it, but it drives me crazy.
Right. Yeah. That's the one thing I outsource to is the flats. Like I'm able to do everything else, but there's just something so incredibly tedious about flatting that it's like, no, I can pay for this.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do. I can put a video on it, put an audiobook.
I'm so picky though that and actually Krysta and I are using the same flatter now. And I did talk to him at con. You can have a fast flatter or you can have a good flatter. And I told him, I will pay you more to give me more detail, use a color palette. I want you on our team. A lot of people, they don't give the flatter credit. And we do. Like when you are on our team, you are on our team. You are a part of our family, our company, and I talked to Con and I'm like, hey, like this is what I would like from you if you are down for it. And we'll go over and I want like flats to be a certain way. A lot of times people don't give their colorist a script. Guess what? They need a script. So when I was doing Unstable, we had these trees, the jacaranda trees. What color are jacaranda trees' leaves?
Right.
They're purple, actually. They're not the leaves, but they're big purple trees. But guess what? The colorist doesn't know that, and they're not going to look it up, and they don't know that they're that. You've got to give them this information. So,
So speaking of campaign, the thing is, though, it's like I know that I'm skipping the question and I'm skipping Nita. It's like, look, you have us for Mondays and Fridays every week on our own vlogs where you can learn more about us. So today, this is all about our guests, and especially Cara and Krysta. They have campaigns that are going.
Who's going first?
Krysta, so I have to go to the bathroom.
Right. Oh, okay. So let's bring. I'm just gonna get something from my table for a bit. So I'll be right back. But let's pull up Krysta's campaign, and I'll be right back.
Nobody needs to see this. Hold on. I got to be careful here.
Nita's like, nope, don't share the porn.
No, please don't. All right, let's see. All right, ma'am, start talking.
Awesome. Well, this is Wolf and I, Waves of Distance. This is the 4th issue, although there are catch-up tiers for 1 through 4 of Wolf and I. And this is the first time we've actually hit Project We Love. So I'm like a little elated and over the moon.
No, it's always fun to get.
It is. Oh, it is. And we are 91% funded, which is really, really exciting. To be at this point, and we still have some time left on the campaign. So Wolf and I is a fantasy young adult adventure comic that follows the lives of Sophia and Violet. They're our main heroines, and they grew up being told fairy tales, and then now they're in their college years when strange creatures start coming out of the darkness, strange powers start manifesting. And they're forced into this decision to accept this friendship with this meowl shapeshifter, half owl, half cat, and they're transported into the land of Krayweth, where they're forced to face their destiny that they have been chosen to help save Krayweth from being overtaken by the Dark Wolf shapeshifter clan. Now, plot twist though, the main character plot twist, the main character is half fairy, but she's also half wolf shapeshifter, which was preluded to in issue 1. And so this issue just really puts our characters at a point where they have to choose, like, who's the bad guys, who's the good guys, what side should they be on, and who's in the rights here.
Right, and you have some really beautiful variant covers.
Yes, I am so excited. I went a little overboard this time. My goal was to have 4 variant covers, and I think I ended with like 8 or 9, maybe 10.
Wow.
I started losing count.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because it's like what it is that you get really addicted to collecting,
Yes.
That's what it is. Because in the end, the variant covers is more about, like us having these pictures that also
it is
like
true.
selling these comics.
Getting to see our characters through other people's eyes,
right?
Getting to have like a unique perspective and being able to support other artists too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the face is gorgeous. Who's the artist on that one?
On that one's Kimmy. She's actually
okay, I see it.
A very new to comics. Kara's other half, Alfred, introduced me to her. She was an artist that he just found on Instagram, a small little Instagram artist.
Okay.
And he showed me one of his covers, and I was like, who is that? Like, I have to have her. Her colors are like just perfect for mine.
Yeah, no, really, yeah. It's so how many days do you have left on this? I mean, because you said you were almost
I just launched. Yeah, I just launched about a week ago. I have 25 days left to go, so it's going until June 30th.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So you have, and also, so is the book done? I always love asking this question. So what's the status?
So the book's about 80% finished right now. I'm waiting on a few more pages to come back from the flatter, and then I'm adding in some more like extra pizzazz. But the goal is to have it done before the campaign ends. So we're really close.
Right
now, we are shipping in like August because which is noted at the bottom. My very first campaign I finished and shipped in June, and I had about 10 of the orders that I shipped out melt in the mail because it's 120 degrees here in Arizona.
Melt? How do books melt?
The bag and board like melted to the comic.
Yeah, they'll stick. I've had them arrive like that before.
Yeah,
that's Arizona.
And it was heartbreaking, and I never even thought about it, when I shipped them. And so I have vowed to never ship in June or July, and even August makes me a little nervous because sometimes we're a little bit warm in August.
Yeah, here it's not the heat so much as it is the humidity.
The humidity.
The bags aren't all the way sealed, and they almost always stick to the slick white backboards. Like always.
It never would have occurred to me that you
let
literally have
cardboard.
to ship your books seasonally.
Yeah. Well, and I never even thought about that. Like summer was great. The kids on vacation.
Right.
I mean, my schedule doesn't change because I'm a nurse practitioner. I work year round, but I had a lot more time, like, to have kid labor making bags and boards. And
exactly.
And so, we all had little jobs as kids. Hers is just a unique perspective.
Right. And you're also in the unique position that you actually, I guess your husband owns a printing company? Or you both do? Yeah. I mean, I'm not all of a sudden doing like, now it's the husband's turn. It's like I don't know whether it's just him or this is like a both of you thing.
She's not making sandwiches, Daphne.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So it started out as an us thing, although in 2020 I graduated with my doctorate. So now I work. I do like 2% of the print business and 98% in the clinic taking care of kids.
Right. So there you go. You got other things to do.
I'm the face of the company. I get all the credit. He does all the grunt work.
So you have a doctorate. So you're an MD in this case.
DNP, but yes. Yeah.
Look at all the big brain people in the room.
That is still badass. So
yeah. Right. So here is
holy crap!
now I really have to ask. Okay, so you told us a story on it was another person who came up with the title "Fire Bitch." Now, of course, on this show, you know us. We don't have a problem with that. But did you have pause with using such a provocative name?
No,
not at all. Not okay.
not at all. And that might be a me thing. I didn't think anything of it. I did find that one, Facebook doesn't like profanity, and two, they will see it if it's in your image. They don't like that either. Also, if you use the initials FB, they think you're talking about them.
Oh, okay.
Like they're so conceited. Like FB only means Facebook, or it's like TV light, you know. So I did find that there are some people that have a problem with it, and it was interesting because I find that men have more of a problem with it than women.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
It's like, so the people that don't like when other people get offended for a group of people are offended for a group of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I kind of wonder if that has more to do with the fact that, you know, it's like, you know, hey, I only get to call you a bitch. You don't get to call yourself a bitch.
So in issue one, she says, I ain't gonna be your fire bitch. And that's where everybody starts calling her that.
Right.
You know, and
what they think it's a title.
I see the word as like, okay, Whoopi Goldberg said it best. She said that the meanest word in the English language is not fuck. You can say fuck in a fun way. I fucking love your hair, Krysta.
Yeah, absolutely.
I fucking love your zebra. Whatever, you know. But the meanest word is stupid.
Huh. Well, you know,
you cannot call someone stupid or say the word stupid without a negative connotation. And that's not even a swear word, but that is a more hurtful, mean, nasty word than any swear word. So, I mean, how many times have we went to our friends, what up, slut?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it's like I've tried. I mean, I've used. Yeah. It's like I don't know, because it's like I'm thinking of the times that I've used the word stupid. You know, and it's like, and usually there's
I think I called you stupid 2 days ago.
Right?
God,
yeah,
and
it's
sorry,
like,
Daphne.
and I go, you know, so it's like that's stupid. You know, it's like, oh, that's stupid. But like sometimes I try to mean it in a cute way. It's like, oh, it's so stupid. You know,
have to justify yourself. You see what I'm saying?
But yeah, there still is that negative, like I still need to kind of like correct myself or explain myself. That's like when I say, oh, that's stupid. Like I sometimes use the word stupid to mean cute. You know, like I don't know, but yeah, it still requires me to explain it. But for some reason, it's like, you know, it's like if I just go like, oh, that's fucking whatever, you know, and I don't need to explain.
Right. So the word bitch, I didn't realize that some people still had a problem with it. I was concerned about conventions. So here's what I did, and it was just one of the first banners we had. The I in bitch was replaced with her finger flipping you off.
That's like, wait a minute.
That was better.
And that was partly to try to like flow with the algorithms.
Right.
Because now it's not an I, but it's her finger flipping you off.
Right. So it's like, okay, you know, but the thing is, though, like technically that's still kind of, you know, you're still being very provocative, you know. But
of course. Remember, this is a story about a girl who is, so people say that I'm her. I'm not. This character is based on other girls that I know in the cosplay modeling industry. You know what I mean? It really is.
And she's kind of like an archetype of like negative behavior. Yeah.
But it's not just negative behavior. It's I don't give a shit behavior. So she's a social media influencer who gained superpowers, and everybody's always like, oh, you get superpowers, you suddenly know how to fight. If any one of us gained superpowers right now, would we suddenly become a master of martial arts unless that was our superpower? No.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. That would be the worst. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
She's learning. She's getting messed up. So this is a story about her growth as a person, but also society on this planet, them growing as people, everybody going through this process together. So her big thing, our B story here is that she's trying not to get canceled online.
That's her biggest problem.
Because that is
hilarious.
That's her problem.
Right.
That is her priority.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like the bad word. If your concern is the bad word, then you need to read this book.
Right.
You need to read this book so that you can understand where we're coming from with this story. I think that like the people that I don't know. I'm just tired of people getting offended.
Yeah, I mean it's like
stop
like
being bitches.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is this book kind of like a mature audience's book, or
I would say PG-13.
Okay.
There are no hooters. There are no cooters.
Right.
No hooters, no cooters.
I don't know. Those
just on the cover. Just on the cover.
Right at me in the front there.
Right.
Well, I mean, it is not out
book
in itself.
I know.
Yeah.
There's no nip slips.
Right.
Now there is in issue 1. There is the
side boob?
tiniest little piece hidden of another cover that was her CD or her DVD, and so that's really cool. So we brought that back. We've got some really cool stuff here. First of all, we have a 3D cover.
Oh, why don't you scroll? Is it on the campaign? So we can scroll down really. Right.
It's Mike DeBalfo's, and it comes with a pair of 3D glasses. And we have some 3D stretch goals. We have some 3D stretch goals. So you are going to get the 3D glasses and some 3D stretch goals, but we do have the 3D cover. We have an art book. We've got a cosplay book. We've got so many covers. We've got like that superset with Wendy and Steph Wilson. One of the things that I have, actually, if you scroll up to the top, I started this. It is a build your own tier. So this is our main cover. If you scroll down right here. So build your own tier. So basically what you're doing is you are buying shipping. Okay. You're buying your shipping, you're buying your box, your padding, whatever, your stretch goal pack. And then you can go and any piece you want, you're going to get we charge minimal shipping for individual items just for added weight and possibly bigger boxes. So this is your base shipping pack, and it comes with the digital, and then you can just pick whatever you want and put whatever you want in. So if you want something that's only available as an add-on, that's your tier. So you pick the choose your own, and you can just choose from all the add-ons. You don't have to pick it. You can pick any cover you want. If you only want the cosplay book, if you only want the hat, if you only want the t-shirt, if you only want the art book, you're going to get the digital, and then you can just pick whatever you want and kind of create your own bundle.
Well, I thought that, because it's like, I thought that like a digital, like if someone does a digital tier, like they don't have access to add-ons.
So they have the fact that you're digital doing add-ons.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
We have a digital tier as well. And the digital tier comes with issue 1, 2, and 3. But the build your own, you get issue 3 as a digital, and you can add on anything you want.
Oh, I get how you did. All right. I get how you did it. Yeah. All right. So that's how they have access to
they have access to anything. They can order digital. They can order physical products. So if you want a book that's only available as an add-on, you don't have to buy something you don't want. You can just get to build your own, put whatever you want in.
So okay. Now that I actually understand it, yeah, it is really clever. Because so the $10 is the ship. You're technically the tier is for the shipping.
It's for the shipping.
And then from there you have access to all the add-ons. Right. Okay, all right, now I get it. Okay, because I may or may not be stealing this idea. So.
It's brilliant.
I'm stealing it. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm stealing it.
I started it with 52 card pinup. So I did the deck of cards. And the build your own was basically you start with a deck of cards. So you had to buy at least one deck of cards.
Right.
And then you could add on anything you wanted. But I had tiers where you could just buy a book or whatever too. So that's kind of how I started it. And then I was like, well, shit. I mean, realistically, this could work with your digital. You can have, this is my digital tier, but you can add on physical products.
Right.
But I wasn't sure if people would comprehend that.
Right.
So I did go with another tier. And if it's overseas, then there's an additional cost. So it's $10, but if it's overseas, it'll be like an additional $5 or an additional $7, depending on what part of the world it is. And then you've got your add-ons that are like $1 or $2 more, depending on what it is.
I mean, yeah, that really is interesting. That really is.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really funny how not only is there so much creativity in just the kind of work that ends up on crowdfunding, but the creativity like this that in trying to maximize what the crowdfunder can do for you.
Right. Well, I want to be able to give people what they want, and I want to be able to let the creators' books shine.
Right.
If you have too many tiers, people get kind of overwhelmed. So we did have like a Daxina tier that disappeared. It was like, okay, so you have this much time right now. We have the Alfred Trujillo Across the Universe tier. People love those pieces, so we gave a special bundle pack on that tier.
Right.
And then we also have the music videos. So this ends the 6th. So that ends tomorrow. And but you can still get the books individually. So, and then this is our catch up. So you get all the main covers from issue 1 through 3 at a special price. I was surprised how many of those we sold. So these are all new people that want to catch up.
Yeah. Those are good. Yeah.
And then if you keep scrolling and kind of blah, blah, blah through it, the t-shirt, we brought in the t-shirt. This is, cosplay cover, of course. That one is really good. Tevin did an amazing job on that. Majesty Risen. That's doing really well. The Power Girl homage is killing it. I love that. Now the Pikachu. So issue one, she says, I'm going to need blah, 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 and a Pikachu onesie. So she asked for a Pikachu onesie. In issue 2, she's wearing a Pikachu onesie. And in issue 3, I did the cosplay with the Pikachu onesie. And the butt, how could you not, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the lingerie piece, of course. And then if you go one more down, the on-off. And I was really surprised that Alfred did that. I was like, oh, I didn't even know I made that face. It didn't work out. But now this is the main cover of the art book.
Oh, okay.
So Alfred Trujillo drew that cover, and you can get the art book as a tier or as an add-on. But we also have a mystery pack for the art book. So only 50 of those books are going to be made, and 2 of each are going to be gold, but you're guaranteed a topless cover. It's really cool. So Alfred did that one. Trevor did the one before. Next up, that was Alfred Lay, and Alfred did the colors on that. That is Queen Corona. She is the queen of the Miho, the bad guys. And then this is the Yuri. I love Yuri's. Oh my God. So amazing. And then you start getting into like special deals. Like this is Wendy and Steph Wilson, because they work together so well and they have different styles. It's called the Brat Pack. Isn't that cool? And you get the naughty nice of each of theirs, and it comes in a pack, but you can get the books individually too as add-ons. The Sweet and Seductive. This is the not topless but sexy, where you get the lingerie, and that middle one on top is actually, those are my colors on that one.
Oh, okay, very nice.
And you get the Jen Leonard, and it's very nice. The cosplay pack. Some people just want cosplay. You get the 4 prints, you get the cosplay books, the comics, but it's only cosplay covers. And then we've got our spicy pack, which is 10 covers that are all topless, because some people just want the topless ones. And then our VIP.
Ooh, that one, yeah.
You get a lot. But we have a special book, if you keep scrolling. The VIPs and up are the only ones that get this. And this is cool, because this is a hero and villain thing that they did. It's just, there's no music or anything. I don't think there might be. It's like 10 seconds or whatever to show you what it does.
And just to clarify, Hero and Villains is Krista's print company.
Cool.
So you can see it's a specialty foil with
Yeah,
that.
the HB foil is just so cool.
I know, it's so amazing. And then add-ons. So we have what are called expansion goals. So when we hit a certain point, when we hit 25,000, you get the Decilio. You can add on the Decilio. The producers automatically get it, and it's a virgin holofoil specialty foil book. And then you get into the add-ons. The Mike DeBelfo, you can get it virgin and regular, or you can get the Analgif, which is the 3D. So we'll be advertising some more of that coming up. That comes with the 3D glasses, but it's issue 1. You got the 4 prints, and then the books, starting with the cosplay.
I mean, I am just amazed. And it's like, they always say it's like, no, you're like pick a niche and stick with it. And you're like going, yeah, I picked the niche. Now here are all the niches in the niche.
I can do whatever I want because who cares? And
Right.
Alfred can't stop drawing. He's just
Right.
always going and going and going.
Uh-huh.
And you can see the different styles. He's got like the painted styles, and then he's got like the sneak peek. Look how cute that is.
Right.
So the 2 different styles, and they're both Alfred. The Campbell homage, very cute. The Wizard of Oz, the Cami Kimmy, the Leo Matos. So it's always fun. We can go up and mix up the tiers and showcase new things. The Varese with the super cool. Crema is great. Oh, and the Trevor Grace. That's not really his style usually, I didn't think, but I love that set.
Right. I guess he had to experiment. Yeah.
He kind of killed it. Jen Leonard gave us 3 different versions, and actually we had been kind of going back and forth on poses, so I actually shot some stuff. The blue lingerie that I was in, I actually am wearing that in a piece in that pose that we sent to her, because we were kind of going through, what to consider.
Right.
Terry Parr, I love that one. It's very classic comics. Daxina, love Daxina's work. Like I said, the Yuri is fantastic. The Freitas. And then we've got another 3D rendered from Nap. Right. And then the Steph Wilson, the Wendy Shaner. So if you don't want all 4 books from the
and a trucker hat.
And the t-shirt. And the t-shirt down there too.
Right.
Because I have it up there. But the cosplay books, the art book, and then you can see the so the one where she's coming out of the water, that's an Alfred Lay. And I saw him post that piece, and I was like, I want this piece. So I have the original. We had it recolored, and we're using it for that. So that's an April Reina as well. Right. And those are the mystery. So you're guaranteed a topless if you get the mystery, but you don't know which one you're going to get. Right. You might get a gold, but we didn't want to mix it and have topless and not topless and have it be
right.
Safe.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to, so this way, but if you don't want topless, you could just buy the not topless.
Right. And it goes back to the whole, like the niche within niches, that there are people who are very specific collectors of certain things. So it's like, so this is a huge campaign. Yeah. But as always, if anybody wants to check out any of our artists on here, but if you want to check out the campaign specifically, links will be in the show notes, and also they're in the chat as well. I've been watching people post up links to everything as well. So here we are at the top of the second hour. Oh, we made it.
we were talking about that.
We were a little concerned. Yeah, exactly. We were a little concerned that we were going to run out of steam before the first hour, but no, we made it to the second hour. And I hope we entertained everybody with our at least woke everybody up. Because if you're not awake by now, maybe you really shouldn't get out of bed. So,
and you know what? there is no shame in that. You know what? You need to stay in bed all day. You take a self-care day. You stay in bed.
There you go. It is Sunday. It is Sunday as well.
Don't give me too many ideas.
Well, that's true. You still need to get work done. So on that note, so Alison, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Well, you can find me when I stream with Peter Palmiotti on his YouTube channel. I'm going to be back doing my Twitch station soon. Hopefully this week. I was hoping last week, but shit happened. Because, and that's Alley Cat Comics over on Twitch. And I'll be hanging out with The Richness later today with Pop Van Zants and others on the open draw stream, where you can watch me working on what I'm doing right now. And let's see, any place else? That's probably good enough for now.
So
I hang out on a lot of streams.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So Krysta, where can everybody find you?
So you can find me on all social media platforms at Fleur de Villainy. I do stream on Twitch as well as I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And the comic has its own individual Facebook if you're looking just for comic updates at Wolf and I Comic on Instagram. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of sewing and baking pictures and videos if you follow me anywhere else.
I have to follow you other places then.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's, literally something for everybody. And speaking of something for everybody, Cara, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me everywhere. I am AZ Power Girl. On YouTube, I'm the AZ Power Girl because somebody jacked my name. You can find me on Kickstarter, Indiegogo. My store's 183degreestudio.com, but I am everywhere at AZ Power Girl. If you can't find me, you didn't try.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
This is true.
Yeah. So Nita, where can everybody find you?
All over social media as Nita Lanning or at C_chaos 24/7. And wherever Raging stuff is, I'm there.
There you go. And if everybody wants to find out more about my work, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you want to see artwork and updates and whatnot. And I have a lot of campaigns coming up. So while you're at EgoWorks, sign up for my newsletter to keep on top of all the crowdfundings that I have, because I'm that anal and have everything scheduled till 2025. so don't miss a thing. And you can also find me here on the Ragin' 2 network again with Nita Lanning. We have our shows on Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m. Our vlog. I have a semi-weekly live stream on Wednesdays on my own channel, also streaming through Ragin'. And you know what? And while I have to mention Ragin' so much, just subscribe to the channel. Just hit that button, hit the notification bell. It's like, get notified whenever we go live on the network. So
Ragin posts everything, just so you guys know. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook. It's not just one person stuff. Like they post. If you want to know anything about indie comics, you want to get that
every campaign
you can't find anywhere like that. Follow them all.
Exactly. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, it's not just about us, it's about everybody.
Come to Butthead.
Yeah, exactly. So I love to thank everybody in the chat for keeping it lively. Thank you, mystery viewers. Thank you, mystery viewers, for watching us. I know you're shy, but at least you're watching us all the way through. So, but next time, you can come join us. We don't bite most of the time. So,
very mean. Exactly. But I paddle my shots.
Yeah. So, absolutely. So thank you again for this special edition of Sunday Funnies. Like I said, Randy is on vacation, so we kind of took over for him. And I hope you all had a good time today, and hopefully by next week we'll be back with our normal programming. Although, you know what, there's no reason why this should be a normal programming. It's just that Randy's not here, so that's the only difference.
I don't know. Estrogen 2 hours seemed to be good.
Well, hey, it works out for everybody. So, like I said, I hope everybody was entertained. And on that note, it's like, just all the links are in the chat. All the links are in the show notes. It's like, check out all of these campaigns. Check out all the websites. And anybody have any final words before? Any words of wisdom to leave everybody with?
Oh, that's definitely a clue for a snarky remark.
Yes, it is. Don't sweat the petty things. Pet the sweaty things.
No, that's just gross. Don't pet anything. I'm sorry, just no.
Okay. Can I jump in on this? I love where you're going. So, Krysta, you're kind of like you're. I'm gonna like pick on you here.
Uh-oh.
So the
That's
thing
okay.
is, when you get to a point where we are, when women like us start talking shit about other women, it's very, very different. So I'm going to talk some shit about Krysta right now. Have you seen her? This
It's
bitch
all
gets
love.
up first thing in
It's
the
all
morning
love.
and makes her own bread. And her hair looks like, she does get that mermaid hair. It's gorgeous and glorious. Like no matter what, you can't even tell when it's like grown out or anything. She always looks incredible. And if you
She
see
took
her
time to
butt,
do
like,
her
oh,
makeup.
like,
Yeah, I
that's
know,
how
right?
Damn
we
show.
each other when
No,
you-
I did Wet n Wild lipstick and left it at that.
That is makeup.
Look, I'm lucky I washed my
She's
face.
fucking naturally
Same.
gorgeous. She
No,
sews,
Krista,
she
no,
cooks.
you're missing the point. We're flipping it here. When you get to where we are, you talk good about other women and you
Mhm.
mean it and it's
Yes.
true and you appreciate each other. So
No, you
I think
do.
we should go around and like I started off with Krysta, you got a
Mhm.
banging butt. I appreciate you as my friend. You're an incredible person. I look up to you. Like you inspire me every day. Someone else can go.
It goes back and forth. I wouldn't be where I am without you coming over and rescuing me with a baby Scoby when I neglected mine and killed it off, and who brings me over like cosplay odds and ends when I'm like, wait, where the fuck did I put this? I can't find my hot glue gun. Hey Cara, like I know we're BFF. I'll bake you a scone if you bring over your hot glue gun. You know, you boost me up, you help me when I, am way too critical on myself. And, I love to see all the things that you're doing because it lets me know like it's all up from here.
I mean, but that's the thing. I think the important thing. I mean, it's like it's all about community. It's all about lifting each other up. So it's like, yeah, and that's the thing. Let's be a community. Just don't choose to be the crazy cat lady. And if you know my story, I am not meaning that in a cute way. I am not meaning that in a cute way. One day I will tell the
cat lady's
story.
crazy.
So, but in the meantime, as C Michael has reminded me, buy independent comics, especially ours, because there's a little bit of selfishness in that. Just buy our books. Buy our books. Be a community and buy our books. That's all we ask. It's very simple. So on that, I want to thank everybody one last time, and we'll see you next time because we got a lot of shows on this channel. So thanks again and goodbye.
Bye.